Hello everybody, welcome to my channel.
Gabriel Byrne is an acclaimed Irish actor, producer, writer, and cultural figure whose career has spanned over 4 decades across film, television, and theatre. Known for his intelligence, quiet intensity, and emotional depth, Byrne has built a reputation as one of the most thoughtful and versatile actors of his generation. He was born on May 12, 1950, in Dublin, Ireland. The eldest of 6 children in a working-class family. Before turning to acting, Byrne led a remarkably varied life. He studied archaeology and linguistics at University College Dublin, worked as a Spanish and history teacher, and even considered entering the priesthood. His path to acting came relatively late, beginning with Dublin's Focus Theatre, where he honed his craft alongside other rising Irish talents of the 1970s. Byrne's breakthrough came with the Irish television series The Riordans and its spin-off Bracken, which made him a household name in Ireland. His international film debut arrived with John Boorman's Excalibur, 1981, in which he played Uther Pendragon. This role launched a prolific film career that would see Byrne working with some of the most respected directors in the world. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, Byrne's filmography grew impressively diverse. He starred in Miller's Crossing, 1990, the Coen brothers' stylish gangster masterpiece, playing the conflicted and sharp-witted Tom Regan, a performance often hailed as one of the finest in neo-noir cinema. Other notable films include The Usual Suspects, 1995, Point of No Return, 1993, Little Women, 1994, The End of Violence, 1997, and Stigmata, 1999. His understated gravitas allowed him to move fluidly between independent dramas, psychological thrillers, and large-scale Hollywood productions. In addition to acting, Byrne has been deeply involved in producing and writing. He co-wrote and produced Into the West, 1992, a heartfelt Irish film that reflects his enduring love for his homeland's storytelling traditions. He has also been a tireless advocate for Irish arts and culture, helping to establish the Irish Film Board and working to promote Ireland's cinematic identity on the global stage. In television, Byrne achieved widespread acclaim for his role as Dr. Paul Weston in HBO's In Treatment, 2008 to 2010, 2021. His portrayal of a troubled psychotherapist navigating the emotional lives of his patients, and his own, earned him a Golden Globe Award and multiple Emmy nominations. The role highlighted his exceptional skill at conveying complex inner turmoil with subtlety and humanity. Beyond his professional achievements, Gabriel Byrne is known for his reflective, often philosophical outlook on fame, art, and identity. He has spoken candidly about his struggles with alcoholism and depression, transforming his personal challenges into a broader conversation about vulnerability and emotional truth. His memoir, Walking with Ghosts, 2020, received critical acclaim for its poetic prose and raw honesty, later adapted into a stage production starring Byrne himself. Now recognized as one of Ireland's most distinguished cultural exports, Byrne continues to work in film and theatre, blending artistic ambition with an unwavering moral compass. Whether portraying a priest, gangster, therapist, or tormented intellectual, Gabriel Byrne's performances are marked by introspection, empathy, and quiet power, qualities that have made him a profoundly respected figure in modern cinema. As Gabriel Byrne's career progressed into the 21st century, his work deepened in both emotional complexity and artistic resonance. Rather than pursuing conventional Hollywood stardom, Byrne consistently chose roles that explored the fragility of human nature, often portraying characters wrestling with loss, morality, and existential uncertainty. His artistic choices reveal a man more interested in truth than glamour, more drawn to the interior lives of his characters than to celebrity. In film, Byrne's later performances have been marked by a quiet, weathered gravitas. In Jindabyne, 2006, he played a man haunted by moral failure in the Australian wilderness. Opposite Laura Linney, a deeply introspective film that explored guilt and cultural conflict. He brought warmth and dignity to his portrayal of King Arthur in Knights of the Round Table adaptations, and poignancy to smaller, independent works like La Capitale, 2012, and Louder Than Bombs, 2015, where he played a widowed father confronting grief and fractured family ties. One of his most powerful performances of recent years came in Hereditary, 2018, Ari Aster's harrowing psychological horror film. Byrne's portrayal of Steve Graham, the emotionally exhausted patriarch of a family unraveling under supernatural and psychological trauma, provided the film with its moral center. His quiet stoicism in the face of madness and grief added a profound layer of realism to the horror, grounding the chaos in genuine human suffering. In Death of a Ladies' Man, 2020, a film inspired by the music and themes of Leonard Cohen, Byrne delivered one of his most poetic and personal performances. As Samuel O'Shea, a college professor confronting his mortality and regrets, he moved through a dreamlike world of memory and fantasy, a role that seemed to echo Byrne's own reflections on aging, creativity, and the impermanence of life. Critics praised the film as a melancholic meditation on love and loss, and Byrne's performance as one of the finest of his later career. Outside of acting, Byrne's voice as a writer and thinker has become increasingly significant. His memoir, Walking with Ghosts, published in 2020, is not a conventional celebrity autobiography but a lyrical, deeply introspective meditation on memory, childhood, and identity. In it, Byrne revisits his upbringing in Dublin, the strict Catholic environment of mid-20th century Ireland, his early struggles in America, and his battles with addiction and self-doubt. The book's haunting, reflective tone captured audiences and critics alike, later leading Byrne to adapt it into a one-man stage play that premiered in Dublin and toured internationally. Byrne's worldview has always carried a philosophical depth. He has often spoken about disillusionment with Hollywood's superficiality, preferring the authenticity of art and storytelling. He once remarked, "Fame is the mask that eats the face," echoing his discomfort with celebrity culture and his belief that acting, at its best, is about empathy and truth rather than attention or status. Throughout his life, Byrne has remained deeply connected to his Irish roots. He has served as a cultural ambassador for Ireland, advocating for Irish arts and cinema and helping to bring international attention to the country's creative industries. In 2011, he was named Ireland's cultural ambassador, though he resigned in 2013 after publicly criticizing the commercialization of Irish heritage, a decision that reflected his integrity and his refusal to compromise his principles. Today, Gabriel Byrne stands as one of cinema's most respected elder statesmen, an actor of immense intelligence and humanity. His career has transcended trends and genres, defined instead by an enduring search for authenticity. Whether as an actor, writer, or storyteller, he continues to explore what it means to be human in all its flawed beauty. Gabriel Byrne's personal life has always reflected the same depth and introspection that define his art. A man of quiet thoughtfulness rather than spectacle, he has often used his own experiences to illuminate universal human struggles, love, loneliness, faith, addiction, and belonging. His journey from a working-class Dublin childhood to international recognition is not only a testament to talent but to perseverance and self-discovery. Born to devout Catholic parents, his father a cooper and his mother a hospital nurse, Byrne was raised in a modest household shaped by discipline, faith, and Irish storytelling traditions. He attended seminary school as a teenager with the intention of becoming a priest, but left after realizing that his calling lay elsewhere. He later revealed that during his time at seminary, he endured sexual abuse by a priest, an experience he discussed publicly decades later, with courage and candor, as part of Ireland's national reckoning with the Catholic Church's abuses. His openness about that trauma brought awareness and compassion to an issue long shrouded in silence, and it deepened his reputation as an artist unafraid to confront painful truths. Byrne's early adulthood was restless and uncertain. Before finding his footing in acting, he worked a series of unglamorous jobs, from teaching Spanish and history to working in archaeology, all the while nurturing a fascination with language and storytelling. When he joined Dublin's Focus Theatre in his late 20s, he found not just a profession but a sense of purpose. Acting, for Byrne, became a way to explore the soul, to give voice to what people often suppress. In his personal relationships, Byrne has maintained an aura of privacy. He was married to actress Ellen Barkin from 1988 to 1999. And the two share two children, Jack and Romy. Their marriage, while high-profile during their years in New York, ended amicably, and Byrne has often spoken fondly of Barkin's strength and artistry. Later, in 2014, he married documentary filmmaker Hannah Beth King in a small private ceremony in Ireland. Despite his global career, Byrne has remained firmly grounded, dividing his time between the United States and Ireland. A deeply intellectual man, Byrne has always been wary of fame. He describes celebrity as a distortion of reality, preferring the quieter satisfaction of meaningful work to public adoration. In interviews, he has expressed skepticism about the glamour of Hollywood, viewing it as a culture that worships youth and emptiness. His approach to acting is equally philosophical. He sees performance not as pretending, but as a search for truth, a way to understand the inner lives of others. Byrne's contributions to Irish culture extend far beyond his acting. As Ireland's cultural ambassador, 2010 to 2013, he was instrumental in promoting the arts abroad, supporting young filmmakers, and emphasizing the importance of storytelling in shaping national identity. However, he also used his platform to speak critically about what he saw as Ireland's growing commercialization of culture, particularly around events like The Gathering, which he felt reduced Irish heritage to tourism slogans. His honesty was controversial at the time but respected by many as an act of integrity. In addition to his advocacy for the arts, Byrne has been a consistent voice for mental health awareness. Having battled depression and alcoholism, he speaks openly about recovery, emotional vulnerability, and the need for compassion. His humility and willingness to discuss these issues have made him an admired figure among both peers and fans, who see in him a rare combination of strength and sensitivity. Over the years, Gabriel Byrne has also lent his support to causes related to human rights, education, and social justice. He remains proud of his working-class background and often speaks about inequality, the value of education, and the need for empathy in an increasingly divided world. Culturally, Byrne occupies a special place in Irish and international cinema, a bridge between the poetic realism of Ireland's storytelling heritage and the psychological subtlety of modern film. His performances, whether as Tom Regan in Miller's Crossing, Dr. Paul Weston in In Treatment, or Samuel O'Shea in Death of a Ladies' Man, reveal an artist deeply concerned with moral ambiguity and emotional truth. Today, in his 70s, Gabriel Byrne continues to work steadily, appearing in film, television, and theater with the same quiet power that has defined his career. He remains a symbol of authenticity, an actor, writer, and thinker whose legacy rests not on fame, but on honesty, empathy, and a lifelong commitment to the art of storytelling. Gabriel Byrne's legacy rests on more than the sum of his performances. It is built upon a lifetime devoted to integrity, intellect, and empathy in art. Few actors have so completely embodied the idea of the performer as philosopher, someone who sees acting not as escape, but as inquiry, a means of asking difficult questions about life, morality, and the human spirit. His artistic philosophy has always been rooted in authenticity. Byrne rejects the notion of acting as imitation. Instead, he views it as revelation, a way to uncover emotional truths. He has often said that great acting comes not from technique but from presence, the willingness to be fully honest in the moment. This is why so many of his performances, from his restrained subtlety in Miller's Crossing to his quiet compassion in Entreatment, feel lived in and real. Byrne never performs emotions. He embodies them. In interviews, Byrne has described acting as a sacred space of vulnerability. To act, he once said, is to stand naked in front of the world, not physically, but emotionally, to risk being seen as you really are. This willingness to embrace emotional nakedness has made his work resonate deeply with audiences, often evoking empathy even for flawed or morally ambiguous characters. Byrne's influence on other actors, particularly Irish ones, is immense. He has long been a mentor and inspiration to younger generations who see in him a model of how to build a career based on artistic merit rather than fame. He helped pave the way for the international success of Irish performers like Colin Farrell, Cillian Murphy, and Saoirse Ronan, showing that one could remain faithful to Irish identity while achieving global recognition. His own trajectory, from Dublin's small theatres to Broadway, from independent Irish films to Hollywood, embodies the evolution of Irish cinema itself. He also played a quiet but pivotal role in revitalizing the Irish film industry. During the 1980s and 1990s, Byrne was a passionate advocate for the re-establishment of the Irish Film Board, which had been disbanded for years. His efforts, along with those of other cultural leaders, helped reopen the board in 1993, a move that led to a renaissance in Irish filmmaking, supporting projects that would eventually put Ireland back on the global cinematic map. In Entreatment, Byrne achieved something rare for television, a performance that turned therapy sessions into profound explorations of the human condition. His portrayal of Dr. Paul Weston was intimate, cerebral, and quietly devastating. Each episode, consisting of nothing more than two people talking in a room, showcased Byrne's extraordinary ability to communicate complexity through stillness. For many, this role marked him not just as a great actor, but as a moral observer of modern life, attuned to its psychological and emotional intricacies. Off-screen, Byrne's eloquence as a speaker and writer further cements his legacy. In essays, interviews, and his memoir, he speaks of the artist's responsibility to truth and compassion. He believes art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable, a sentiment that reflects both his humanism and his resistance to cynicism. Byrne's view of Ireland, too, reveals his depth of thought. He has spoken about the contradictions within Irish identity, the tension between faith and rebellion, joy and melancholy, community and exile. He often returns to themes of displacement, belonging, and memory, which permeate his writing and acting alike. In many ways, Byrne represents the modern Irish consciousness. Intellectual yet spiritual, skeptical yet yearning for meaning. Even in his later years, Byrne's creative energy remains undiminished. He continues to write, perform, and engage in projects that challenge conventional narratives. His stage adaptation of Walking with Ghosts was a deeply personal triumph, a one-man reflection on life, death, and the persistence of memory. Watching him on stage, critics noted that it was not merely a performance but a communion, Byrne speaking not as a celebrity, but as a fellow traveler through life's uncertainties. Today, Gabriel Byrne stands as a rare figure in contemporary culture, an actor who has become, in essence, a poet of the screen. His work defies trends, his career rejects vanity, and his words remind us that art's highest calling is empathy. For generations of audiences and artists alike, he represents a living embodiment of integrity, the belief that truth, no matter how painful, is the only thing worth portraying. Gabriel Byrne's enduring influence reaches far beyond cinema and television. It extends into the realms of literature, philosophy, and the deeper conversation about what it means to live an examined life. He is not only an actor of extraordinary range but also a cultural thinker, a storyteller in the truest Irish sense, whose art has always sought to bridge the personal and the universal. What makes Byrne unique among his contemporaries is the sense of moral and emotional gravity he brings to every role. He carries with him the presence of a man who has lived, suffered, questioned, and understood. Whether playing a ruthless consigliere in Miller's Crossing, a weary therapist in Treatment, or a haunted father in Hereditary, Byrne brings an inner stillness that commands attention. He does not rely on flamboyance or volume, his strength lies in silence. In the eyes that reveal what words cannot, that quiet intensity has become his signature. Directors and actors who have worked with Byrne often remark on his generosity, humility, and intellectual engagement. He is known to approach each character not as a mask to wear but as a soul to inhabit, exploring the emotional and psychological architecture beneath the surface. His process is both analytical and intuitive, rooted in empathy and a deep respect for the complexity of human emotion. Byrne's relationship with storytelling is deeply Irish. It is an inheritance of a culture where myth, poetry, and confession intertwine. He has often spoken about the power of narrative as a form of healing, a way of giving voice to the voiceless. In his memoir Walking with Ghosts, he reflected, "Stories are what save us. When we tell them, we make sense of what would otherwise destroy us." That belief runs through all of his work, the idea that art, at its core, is not entertainment but survival. As an Irishman who found success abroad, Byrne has also lived the dual life of the expatriate, belonging everywhere and nowhere. His experience of exile, both geographical and emotional, informs much of his work. Many of his characters are outsiders, thoughtful men searching for meaning in a disordered world. This archetype, the wounded, reflective wanderer, has become central to Byrne's artistic identity, resonating deeply with audiences who see in him a reflection of their own search for belonging. In the broader cultural landscape, Byrne's influence is subtle yet profound. He has helped redefine what it means to be an Irish actor in the modern era, not merely a performer of charm and wit, but an interpreter of existential depth. He has shown that Irishness, far from being a stereotype of sentimentality, can embody a rich and intellectual understanding of human fragility. Byrne's voice, measured, lyrical, and unmistakable.
Bye bye. Thanks for watching. Bye.